Could the ghost of Rudolph Valentino still be roaming his beloved home? Let's step inside the home of one of Hollywood's most legendary silent film stars as we explore its history, mystery, and lingering whispers of the past. From its stunning architecture to the eerie legends surrounding it, this mansion holds more than just memories. What drives a movie star to build their dream home only to die before they can truly enjoy it? In this golden age of amazing films, one star shone brighter than all others, and it was none other than Rudolph Valentino. He wasn't just famous, he was a cultural phenomenon. He had a personality that combined the fame of Brad Pitt, the cultural impact of Elvis, and the heartthrob status of young Leonardo DiCaprio. That's how big Valentino was. But how did an Italian immigrant with no connections and barely any money become Hollywood's biggest star? Rudolph Valentino was born in Italy in 1895 and came to America in 1913, hoping for a better life. He started out dancing for tips, working as a taxi dancer, where he charmed wealthy women and learned how to move gracefully. In 1917, he moved to Los Angeles, teaching dance to rich women who sometimes let him drive their fancy cars. At first, Hollywood only gave him roles as the bad guy, but everything changed in 1921 with The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, where he played a tango-dancing playboy. His next film, The Sheik, made him a star, turning him into Hollywood's most famous romantic actor. Now, here's where our story takes an interesting turn. What does a movie star do when they've reached the pinnacle of fame? In Valentino's case, he decided to build a home that would reflect his success and his European taste. In 1925, at the height of his career, Valentino purchased a sprawling estate nestled high above Benedict Canyon in Bel Air. It wasn't just any house. It was a Spanish-style villa with a history of its own, built 2 years prior by a real estate developer named George Reed. Valentino reportedly paid a hefty sum of $175,000 for the 4-acre property. To put that into perspective, that amount of money was like millions today. The name Falcon Lair itself is intriguing. It comes from an unproduced film of Valentino's called The Hooded Falcon. Why he chose this name is open to interpretation. Perhaps he saw himself as a falcon soaring high above the world. Or maybe he simply liked the mystique and romanticism associated with the image of a falcon's lair. Whatever the reason, the name stuck and the estate became forever known as Falcon Lair. Now, picture the house itself. A 2-level, 4,700 square foot Spanish-style villa, a classic of its time. Stucco walls gleamed under the California sun, topped by a red tile roof that added a touch of Mediterranean charm. Inside, the house boasted 16 rooms, each designed with an eye for elegance and comfort. Hardwood and travertine floors provided a cool and sophisticated foundation, while grand fireplaces promised warmth and ambiance on cooler evenings. Wood-beam ceilings added a rustic touch, completing the picture of a luxurious yet inviting home. But Falcon Lair was more than just a house. It was a complete estate. The 4-acre grounds were meticulously landscaped, featuring stables for Valentino's beloved horses, kennels for his dogs, and a multi-car garage. Quite a luxury in those early days of automobiles. Servants' quarters ensured that the household ran smoothly, catering to Valentino's every need. Valentino took great pride in transforming Falcon Lair into his personal paradise. He installed a magnificent fountain, adding a touch of grandeur to the entrance. He planted over 50 Italian cypress trees, creating a stately and picturesque landscape. And he designed an Italian garden, importing exotic plants from Europe and even China, adding a unique and worldly flair to his estate. The place must have felt like a sanctuary, a little piece of Europe in the heart of Hollywood. Inside, Valentino filled Falcon Lair with treasures from around the world. He furnished the house with antiques, fine art, and European furniture, reflecting his sophisticated taste and passion for culture. It's easy to imagine him hosting lavish parties, surrounded by fellow stars, artists, and dignitaries, all enjoying the opulence and charm of Falcon Lair. Valentino also kept horses in the stable and would often ride along with the trails in the surrounding hills. However, Valentino's fame also brought unwanted attention. Fans eager to catch a glimpse of their idol would often swarm the property, creating a nuisance and disrupting his privacy. To protect himself and his home, Valentino built a 9-foot cement wall around the estate, a significant barrier that helped keep the crowds at bay. Here's where the story takes its tragic turn. In August 1926, just months after moving into Falcon Lair, Valentino fell ill while in New York. What seemed like a simple case of appendicitis turned deadly when complications set in. He fell ill with peritonitis, an infection of the abdominal lining, on August 23rd. At just 31 years old, Hollywood's greatest lover was gone. The public reaction to his death was unprecedented. An estimated 100,000 people filled the streets of Manhattan during his funeral. Riots broke out as fans tried to get one last glimpse of their idol. Women were said to have committed upon hearing the news. It was perhaps the first time the world witnessed mass hysteria over a celebrity's death. But what about Falcon Lair? What happens to a dream home when its dreamer is gone? The estate went through several owners in the following decades, each adding their own chapter to its story. In the 1930s, a flamboyant South American playboy added a garden monument to Valentino. But it wasn't until 1953 that Falcon Lair found its second famous owner, named Doris Duke. Now, if Valentino's story was about achieving the American dream, Doris Duke's was about being born into it. As the only child of tobacco tycoon James Duke, she inherited around $100 million when she was just 12 years old. That's about $1.5 billion today. Known as the richest girl in the world, Duke was no ordinary heiress. She was smart, independent, and had a passion for art, jazz, and world travel. Duke discovered Falcon Lair through her friend, silent film star Gloria Swanson. Something about the estate, perhaps its mix of Hollywood glamour and European elegance, spoke to her. Under Duke's ownership, Falcon Lair transformed from a romantic hideaway into a sophisticated entertainment venue. The estate's music room became legendary for its jazz sessions. Duke, who was romantically involved with jazz pianist Joe Castro, hosted impromptu performances by legends like Duke Ellington. The living room, with its ostrich feather ceiling, a very Duke touch, became a gathering place for musicians, artists, and the cultural elite. But Duke's time at Falcon Lair wasn't all glamorous parties and jazz concerts. Her later years were marked by controversy and tragedy. Her relationship with adopted daughter Chandy Hefner turned bitter, ending in disinheritance. In her final years, Duke became increasingly reclusive, using Falcon Lair as a recovery spot after various surgeries. In a strange twist of fate, Duke, like Valentino, would die at Falcon Lair. In 1993, following complications from a facelift and a severe stroke, the billionaire heiress passed away in the same house where Hollywood's greatest lover had once dreamed his dreams. Now comes perhaps the most perplexing part of our story. How could a mansion with such historical significance, owned by two legendary figures, end up facing demolition? The answer lies in the challenging economics of historic preservation and the relentless march of progress in Los Angeles. By the early 2000s, maintaining Falcon Lair was becoming increasingly difficult, despite its connection to Hollywood history and the efforts of preservationists. The practical challenges of maintaining such an old estate proved overwhelming. In 2006, the decision was made to demolish the main house. It was a decision that sparked controversy and debate about historic preservation in Los Angeles. Should the city do more to protect its architectural heritage? Or is change simply the nature of a city built on reinvention? Today, only fragments of the original Falcon Lair remain. The former stable building, the 3-bay garage which Duke converted into a guest house, and the original gates. These surviving pieces stand as a silent witness to the property's glamorous past. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Falcon Lair's legacy is the stories and rumors that persist to this day. Some say Valentino's spirit still wanders the grounds, keeping watch over what remains of his dream home. Others claim to have heard the ghostly sounds of jazz music drifting through the canyon on quiet nights. The story of Falcon Lair serves as a powerful reminder of how fleeting fame and fortune can be. Valentino spent a fortune creating his perfect home, but enjoyed it for less than a year. Duke, despite all her wealth and influence, couldn't prevent the mansion's eventual demolition. That's a wrap on the story of Rudolph Valentino, the original Hollywood heartthrob. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories from the past. Want more? Check out our previous video to dive into another incredible tale. And here's a question for you. If you could travel back in time and meet any classic Hollywood star, who would it be? Drop your answer in the comments below.